that I wanted to point out, and I have a bunch of footage that I've been chopping up of like first look at like first time players. We're starting to see a bunch of Keon Sabb and Domani Jackson. These guys, I think, are it. And we haven't seen 11 on 11. They haven't had a scrimmage, but I think the addition of these two to the secondary, an area that, let's face it, was clearly depleted after Coach Saban left, after T-Rob left, after Terran Arnold left, after Kool-Aid left, after all these prospects left and, transferred elsewhere or whatever. Alabama needed some guys to come in. And sure, the anchors in the secondary are going to be Malachi Moore. You have Devontae Smith, who provides experience from just being at Alabama. I know he hasn't had his chance to really shine, but I think I kind of get the feeling early on that Domani Jackson, and probably more so Keon Sabb, is going to be like an absolute baller this coming season. Coach, have you been kind of getting that same sense from the secondary with Sabb and Domani Jackson?
Yeah, especially Domani Jackson. Especially, this was a guy that I was very critical of. Everybody in the chat knows I've been very critical of this young man because I know the type of talent he is, right? It just was never put on film at USC. But you can see a different energy about him, man. He's a leader. He's really stepping up and becoming a leader for that young cornerback room. But opposite of him, he has somebody that's supporting him that's been there for a few years, and that's Jaleel Hurley. We're not talking about Jaleel a lot because, talking to some of the people around the staff that came over from Saban area, Jaleel Hurley never got a real opportunity under Coach T-Rob. A lot of those guys didn't get a real opportunity. We asked the question, why isn't Earl Little playing? Why isn't this person playing? Why isn't Des Reese getting some reps? Well, come to find out, a lot of that had to do with T-Rob. And y'all got to remember, Jaleel Hurley was like the number four corner in his class. So how do you feel as a number? Like, I believe, honestly, if we had not got the hire of Mo Lindquist, right, to a lot of these recruits, you're going to hear them say he's the reason why I stayed. A lot of these secondary guys are going to say Maurice Lindquist is big reason why they decided to stay, and he has the energy. He's going to give guys opportunity. You're seeing a healthy rotation between those 7 cornerbacks that we have on the roster right now. Yeah. I think it's 7, 6, but you're seeing a healthy rotation. And Sabb at safety, free safety, like I predicted, man. That's the perfect spot for him in this scheme. Like you said, you got your veterans coming back in Malachi Moore, Devontae Smith, keeping them close to the line of scrimmage, allowing them to be in position to do what they do best, and that's run support, come up and support the run game, play short underneath coverages with over top help, and a guy that's rangy like Keon Sabb. The thing about Sabb is, man, he's not talking a lot. He's just out there putting in work. Yeah. Like, everything he's doing is like immaculate. I mean, immaculate. The dropbacks in his drills, the way he attacks the ball in the air on the find the ball drills, the way he's pursuing on these turn and go drills, like everything that these DBs are doing. There you go, right there, breaking up a pass. Nice breakup, using the lead hand to, technique is there. So I love seeing what we're seeing. Another name that I think you want to talk about and that you probably be excited to hear is Red Morgan. Red Morgan is creating some crazy stock for himself, but it's all under the tutelage of those guys, being leaders for him. Sabb definitely is a big effect on him. And I'm excited for this secondary with those two being an addition to that room.
So as we talk about this Alabama secondary, honestly, Coach Smook and I have had the opportunity now at Alabama to talk with Mo Lindquist. I'm telling you, from the jump, you understand quickly how big of an addition this was to the coaching staff, to the University of Alabama, the experience that he has, and how really infectious his personality is. Completely personable. The mindset of him, you can, like, this guy is a guy who coached in the NFL, who helped Trayvon Diggs transform his game, but so did Coach Saban, right? A guy that coached at the college level, the NFL level, and now having him in Tuscaloosa, along with Colin Hitchler, working with that secondary, man, you got to be excited about it. And you know what? The type of personality that I think Shepard has and that Mo Lindquist have, I think that those guys are going to just impact recruiting. And you guys have seen how amped up Womack is. So when these guys come in to Tuscaloosa, imagine if you were able to get, if you were let's say if you're in 2025, right, a prospect, and you're here today, and you're getting to meet all of the new coaches and all the new coaching staff, and you came also last year at this time.
Yeah.
Look, there's a big difference from the mindset and the attitude from meeting Coach Kevin Steele, who is a wonderful defensive coordinator, to now seeing the new energy of Kane Womack. Look, Kevin Steele is a no-nonsense guy. You don't even have to say a lot.
Right.
He's that old school mentality, and he was a hell of a defensive coordinator, probably the best since Alabama's had since Pruitt or Kirby Smart. Right? Like that's how talented he was as a defensive coordinator. But in terms of like the energy level, I think that Womack, I think that Mo Lindquist, you come in and they are probably the same age as some of the parents as well that have the prospects here.
Yep.
And look, when you are the same age as somebody, you kind of have that peer level of respect. You know how it is, like everybody out there, you know how it is. So having your kids show up I bet you it's a huge change from 2025 prospects that are getting here and visiting with the coaches as opposed to when these prospects from a year ago.
Kyle, one thing that you were alluding to, and I'm going to hit the super chat before I get into it. He said, Odum at wide receiver, who is 6'5", is going to be a matchup problem for opposing defenses. I can't wait to see how they utilize him. Kevin Lynch, you absolutely right. And because you super chatted, I think we can circle back around that in the closing statements and kind of expound on it a little bit more. But Kyle was so hype about Caleb Odum the first day. Do you remember the first viewing practice, Kyle? We got to go out there and actually view. We go in back inside, and Kyle, that was the first thing he said. Caleb Odum is the best player on the team. Like he just straight up
he looked. I mean, I saw him.
And
he wasn't up and just snatched this ball out. I was like,
hey, Kyle, but you weren't the only one saying that. It was like everybody, even the recruits that were on the sideline visiting Wednesday, they were just raving about Caleb Odum. Everybody was talking about Caleb Odum. I mean, all beat writers, everybody. Yeah. You can't go and look at anybody's outlets right now that cover the Alabama football team, and they haven't mentioned Caleb Odum.
Everybody has a story on him today.
Yes, right now, and it's the reason why. And everybody thought Ryan Williams was going to be the Julio. I think we might have Julio and Caleb, but let's not get on that side. I almost got sidetracked. But getting back to your point about the defense, man, like you said, I made a post about Kane Womack's video that he posted during practice. Yeah. That was cool. And people try to take it as if I was taking a shot at Coach Saban. I was like, no, Coach Saban had his ways, and his ways were starting to evolve and phase out. Like we were falling behind in the recruiting game. You had to go and find you had to go and get the exact dude. It was no, like, he might be. No, we were starting to have to go and get exact dudes. Like right now, you're opening up your doggone barn and you're letting them come through and look at all these horses, right? All this type equipment. And they like, man, I want to try and get on this. I may want to take a lap on this. Like, that's what a lot of kids are saying right now. I may want to take a year and give Alabama a chance because the portal, these kids can do that. They can come to Alabama as a true freshman and not play 100 reps a game and still have NIL. So it's a good place to be in right now.
So look at it from this perspective too. And I kind of tie this back to about like Coach Saban and where he is from like an energy level. Still has it clearly. Look at all the things that he's doing.
72 though,
and
man.
He looks amazing and he's doing all his things. But have you ever had a well-respected, like your grandfather figure who just knows everything? He's like your G, right? He's taught you how to be in the lab with whether it's like working on vehicles or showing you something on the grill, whatever. Have you had kind of a really like tenured uncle that you have as well, who's also like that guy who is starting to kind of hit his peak in life? Like that's who kind of like these coaches are starting to be. So there's nothing wrong with Coach Saban and his style of doing things. And no one would ever forget what he's done for Alabama. It's just like
never
this new energy coming in. These guys are ready. It is their time to shine. And everybody has a time in life. And it's these guys' time. Coach Kalen DeBoer, it's his time. He's at a really good age. He's had a lot of good experience. And now he's ready to compete at the ultimate level, which is the SEC. And he is going to have that opportunity. And you're right, Buck. Think about this. Coach Saban still had the number 2 class.
Yes.
Going forward, people are going to look at recruiting. And I think and I've always said this, recruiting in my mind has changed. I don't necessarily put a lot of stock in like the 2025 guys. Not to say that they're like not important, but it's the transfer portal game now. And this will continue to change like throughout because it's more about those guys are immediate needs. Whereas and how college football is now structured with NIL and the transfer portal, I don't know if and that's why I think people have such a hard time like donating maybe to some of these collectives like Yay Alabama or whatever, which I think is great, but you're putting money in, and how long is this player going to be here?
Right.
Right. And that's just, and it's nobody's fault. Like it's probably the NCAA because they haven't developed rules and parameters around that, but the game has changed. And this new energy, I think, is really good for Alabama. And it's really good to see all these prospects come in. And I guarantee you there's so much energy. And I bet you the parents who were here last year to this year are leaving. And they're just like, man, something's really good is happening still at Alabama.
Kyle, it was said, Caleb Cunningham, top wide receiver in the country right now out of Mississippi. The young man said he didn't want to leave when he came for his visit. He wanted to stay. He wanted to be there this weekend with a lot of these classmates coming out with him, so he can kind of see what their energy was like because his was changed. He want that's a good thing to have, bro. Like I don't think, and see, a lot of people think I'm making statements to kind of discredit Saban, but no, I'm saying if Saban was able to do it and bow out like he did, just imagine how much better it's going to be for Kalen DeBoer. He set him up for it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's not anything special that Kalen DeBoer is doing. It's like he's taking the platform that he was, stepped onto. Mm-hmm. The base is such a high standard. Now he fits right into it. So it's going to be easy for him to take it to the next level. You don't want it to stay the same as Coach Saban. You don't want it to be the same as what Coach Saban was doing. You want it to get better. And that's what we're expecting it to get better. And we're seeing some early signs.
All right, let's. So we have the basketball game, as Kevin said, here at 11 a.m. between Alabama and Arkansas. So let's make some closing statements and get people to the basketball game. High Power TV has now been a member for 4 months right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We really appreciate you. Thank you for being a fan funder, and to everybody inside the comment box and part of the Undefeated. If you are a member, a fan funder, we really appreciate you. If you're watching, we really appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up on all these videos and look for more content from Coach Smoot, from myself, from all of our staff, Coach Sean, Coach Jarek, Ty, of course, Mel, and of course, T behind the scenes. All of us make up Bama Football on YouTube. But let's make some closing remarks as we get people to their basketball game. Coach, I'm going to ask you, what are 2 things, not 3, not 5, just 2 things that you're watching for spring football, kind of as we get, because what's going to happen now, we go on spring break and then they come back and they have practice on the 19th again. But what are we looking like? What are kind of some items that you are watching as we've had 3 practices and now we go to practice number 4? What are 2 things that you're watching?
One thing, I'm gonna go offensive defense. Defensive side, I'm looking at starting to see personnel in depth. That's what I'm gonna start paying attention to, because you're going into the week where you're going to get into pads, right? And schematics are really the first phase of everything is over with now. The first 3 days is introductory. They go through their different sessions. So I'm looking for a depth chart now on defensive side, especially at the outside linebacker position. Been hearing a lot of rumors, been seeing a lot of different changes out there. Only consistent right now is Q-Rob, who's playing opposite of Q-Rob is what I'm looking forward to finding out next week. I mean, after we get back from spring break. And then on the offensive side, key number 2, how is this run game being developed right now? I know the pass game is going to develop. I have full confidence in the pass game. Whatever quarterback ends up winning the job, I believe it's going to be Miro who's going to win the job. This pass game, how's it going to develop in the first phases once bodies start having to clash, start having to make reads? And I did get to see a slight second of some 11 on 11 yesterday. It was pretty intense. And it was fun, man. It was fun to see those guys flying around. So those are my 2 points, Kyle.
And we want to hear from you inside the Undefeated as well. What are 2 things that you're watching as we go further into spring football? I'm trying to think like right now, like what is an emerging theme or things that I'm watching? And I continue to kind of circle back to that wide receiver room. What other wide receivers continue to stand out? And talk about a healthy balance of competition. Because this, I think, is like you are absolutely loaded from the top to the bottom, and you still don't even have Ryan Williams on campus yet. Rico Scott is not here yet. So think about those guys are also coming in. So how is that cream? Think about that cream rising. right? Who is going to rise up from there? I want to continue to see the offensive line as well. What are we going to see from that tackle position? Who is going to battle for those spots? Who are we going to see across the board? Like your first 5 for the offensive line, because you said like the depth chart and who's rising from the edge rushers. But I think for me, it's like offensive line. I think that is such a critical area right now. And I do feel that from the short amount of time I've seen from Coach Kapilovic, I think, I'm really starting to like what I see. I wasn't there yesterday, so didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I'm eager to see more offensive line development because I think that is kind of a catalyst for this entire offense, right? Things cannot go if the trenches are not taken care of. And last year, I think Alabama certainly underperformed at the offensive line. We appreciate you guys being here, watching this video right here on Bama Football on YouTube. He's Coach Smook. My name is Kyle Henderson. My background changed for the week as I'm down here at the beach with my family. So I appreciate you guys running the thumbs up on all these videos. We have more videos coming, literally all the time, every day. So every single time you see a video, just go ahead and hit a thumbs up. We appreciate the super chat. You guys really support us right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coach Smook does a great job. Think about this. He moved from Virginia to Tuscaloosa to follow his dream to cover the team. So definitely follow him and support him. And when we have Coach Sean on, same thing. Coach Jarek, same thing. When Jake gets back, same thing. And, of course, Ty, who plays our leadoff hitter during the week. And, of course, you can't forget